Don't worry, everyone watching and listening, I'm not gonna tell you to cut back on lattes. Buy as many lattes as you want. This is a fundamental misconception that if you cut back on $3 or $5 every single day, that somehow magically 200,000 years in the future, you're gonna have enough money to live your rich life. First of all, who wants to live like that? Second of all, if you run the math, that's not even that much money anyway, $3 a day. And third, it simply doesn't work. People buy more coffee than ever. I wake up in the morning, I want coffee. What they ignore is that you can focus on 5 or 10 big wins in life. Get a good job, negotiate your salary. Invest every single month automatically. Make sure you have a solid credit score. Just get 5 to 10 things right. You'll never have to worry about the cost of appetizers or lattes again. I actually want to make the case against extreme frugality. Everybody, everywhere you turn, you hear people telling you what you can't do with your money. No lattes, no jeans, no vacations, save it up in a little treasure box, and then one day when you can't even see anymore, then you'll be able to take the greatest vacations of your life. Who wants to live like that? I would rather you set your automatic savings goals, you set your automatic investing goals, and then you take the rest of your money, your guilt-free money, and you spend it extravagantly on the things you love. One way, very simple, when you go to the grocery store, maybe you buy a bunch of pre-cut vegetables. Now, when I was growing up, my mom thought this was a huge waste of money. I now think it's a great use of money because it buys back my time. Another thing you can do, a lot of people live in New York, hire a dog walker. You have a dog, you may not have time to walk that dog in the middle of the day, boom, dog walker, done. And then as you become even more successful or more strapped for time, there are even more ways that you may want to spend your money. You may want to hire an assistant to help plan your travel. You may want to spend for a business class flight because when you arrive, you're getting straight to work. These are all different ways that you can be thinking of buying back your time. As a general rule of thumb, I want you to be saving 5 to 10% of your take-home income, and I want you to be investing 10% of your take-home income. If you do that, you're on a good track. And that means that the rest of your money after your fixed expenses like your rent or your mortgage is guilt-free money. I think that I really like to be conservative on the big items. So I have something I call the tripod of stability. And for me, I really want to be stable in where I live, my employment, and my relationships. Just like pure stability. As an example, I moved to New York 10 years ago. I've lived in the same apartment ever since. My net worth has increased during that time, but I stayed. I'm perfectly happy. It's a great place. I'm good. My computer, 7 years old. It works, it runs. It might sound like an airplane, but it works. But what that does, being conservative in those areas, allows me to be very risk-seeking in others. It allows me to invest aggressively. It allows me to take risks with my business and also to honestly just splurge on the things that I love. So I would say that if most people actually followed a few simple formulas when it came to their spending, they would be in really good shape. Here's some simple formulas I have. I want to have a 1-year emergency fund, cash. That's a little bit more aggressive than most, but I like it. I want to have a no debt policy overall. And if I do use debt, it would be maybe for a house. And if so, I would start with 20% down minimum, if not more. And I have several other rules that I use that are very, very conservative. Though if you follow things like 28% of your pay for housing, if you just follow those basic rules, you're going to be in a really good conservative position. What happens is most people overspend on the big things. They forget to account for the phantom costs. And then they wake up one day and they're like, where's all my money? Well, the money you can't find, you spent it 6 years ago in a poor decision you made. Here's a really simple way to look at where your money should be going. 50 to 60% of your take-home money should generally be going to fixed costs. These are things like your rent, your mortgage, your utilities. At a minimum, 10% should be going to investments. These are long-term retirement investments. Next is short-term savings goals. This is where 5 to 10% of your money will go. And these are things like saving for a down payment on a house, gifts, or a vacation. And finally, this is my favorite part, 20 to 35% goes to guilt-free spending. This is eating out at restaurants, buying new clothes, taking your friends or family out with you on vacation. Whatever you want for your rich life, that's where this money goes. So I gave you these rules of thumb. How do you create your conscious spending plan? Well, I want to introduce something called the think, want, do technique. Just take a blank piece of paper and write down how much you think you are spending in each of these categories. Write down how much you want to spend in these categories. And then the third part is to find out how much you actually do spend in these categories. So take a look at your spending over the last 30 days, find out how much money is going to your fixed costs versus your investments, savings, and finally guilt-free spending. And now you are going to know what type of changes you need to make to flow the money for your conscious spending plan. Saving is a good start, but it's not enough. If your money is sitting in a savings account, it's actually slowly, invisibly losing money every single day thanks to inflation. The real way to grow your wealth is not winning the lottery or winning some weird insurance settlement. It's by slow, gradual, low-cost, long-term investing. By the way, investing is not sitting around picking stocks and you have these screens flying around. No, investing is much simpler than that. It's all about picking a low-cost investment and just automate your money into it. Maybe it's $50 a month. Maybe it's $500 a month. All you need to do is set up that automation once and then get on with your life. Automation is one of the most powerful ways to grow your money. I get this question a lot. I don't want to automate my money because I want to have control over it. And my answer to you is, you should automate because you think you want control, but you really don't. When you automate your bill payments and all your money flowing from your checking account to your 401k, your IRA, your guilt-free spending, you can still check over it. You can still check everything and make sure it's working. I'm going to give you something called the ladder of personal finance, which tells you where your money should go. Okay, this is just step by step. Put your money here. And if you want to know all the details about it, you can check out the system. So
it's in the book too?
It's in great detail in the book.
Got it.
All right. So if you've got some money lying around, what should you do with it? First of all, if you've got a 401k match at work, you should max that out. That's free money. Take advantage of it. And if you're not sure what that means, go to your HR person and say, does this company match any 401k contributions? If they say yes, do what I said. Next, if you've got debt, pay it off. Pay it off aggressively. You know, what's interesting is that most people in debt who I talk to don't actually know how much they owe. And that's shocking. You would think, of course they would know. No, they don't, because who wants to proactively
stare at their debt all day?
Yeah, and just feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But you know what? You feel much better when you have a plan. And the number one question I ask folks when they tell me they have debt, I say, number one, do you know how much you owe? They never do. Number two, for the rare people who say, you know, 15,000 or 70,000, whatever, I say, what is your debt payoff date? You can actually plug it in. You can plug in a debt payoff calculator online. You can map it all out, and you will be able to know the exact month your debt will be paid off.
Based on how much you're spending right now.
Based on how much you're contributing to that debt payoff. Now, you will be able to see that if you add an extra $50 a month or $100 a month, that thing will actually oftentimes shorten by years because of the interest. It doesn't matter if it's going to take you 3 months or 4 years to pay off your debt. It doesn't matter to me. What matters is that you know the date. Okay, so that's number two, pay off any debt you've got. 3, if you've got money left over, go to your Roth IRA. And if you can, max that out. That's a great tax advantaged account.
So it grows tax deferred, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
so that's 3.
That's 3. Okay, it's actually post-tax money. And then 4, if you still got money, you're going to go back to your 401k, which is another tax-advantaged account. You're going to max that out. If you still got money, you're going to create a non-taxable, non-retirement account and just put your money in there. Now, there's a few other wrinkles to this. There's HSAs available. There's also your emergency fund that's talked about in the book, and all these things. They're details. But that just shows you, when you've got money, this is where you go. There's a structured way of thinking about it.
A ladder towards financial success.
Exactly. And if you follow the steps, it's almost like a waterfall. It just goes from step 1 to step 2 to step 3, and your money's going where it needs to go automatically, and you will feel great. You'll feel great, which is so important.
We've been taught that the American dream is buying a house, and yet when we run the numbers, we realize that it can be a very bad investment to make. Now, there are different reasons to buy a house. It could be that you know you're going to be there for 10 or 15 years. It could be that you want your kids to be in a great educational system. But when you run the numbers of buying versus renting, particularly for young people, where we're always moving around, it's not the best investment you think it is. It may not be the best investment. So one of the things I encourage my readers to do is run the numbers. I show them how. And what they quickly discover is whatever the mortgage price is, tack on an extra 40 to 50% per month. People find this mind-boggling. But if you actually factor in all those invisible costs, or as I call them, phantom costs, you say, wow, this is a lot more expensive than I thought.
And what is the 40% for?
So that's things like taxes, that's things like insurance, that's things like new furniture, that's which no one ever considers. It's things like maintenance. And these are things that you amortize over 20 years or 10 years. But because they're phantom, because they're invisible, all we see is the sticker price. So again, I'm not saying it's a bad investment. I'm saying it may not be the investment it's cracked up to be. And just because you're getting pressured from your parents or your friends that, oh, you're throwing money away on rent or do it for the tax deduction, you should actually run the numbers very carefully for the biggest purchase of your life.
You just put money into it and it handles the rest for you. All right, that's it. Now, another thing, I'll share some interesting insights I learned from a survey I did with thousands of people on my site. I asked people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s what they wish they had saved more for. Okay, here's what we found. People in their 20s wish they had saved more for travel. People in their 30s wish they had saved more for a down payment on a house. And do you have any idea what people in their 40s wish they'd saved more for? They wish they'd save more for retirement. So you always want to be thinking ahead with your money. A 12-month emergency fund is great, but there are going to be things that predictably come up. Most of us will get married. Most of us will buy a house. Most of us will go on a honeymoon. All these things. Most of us will buy diapers. Let's ask people 10 years older than us, I call it the 10-year saving strategy. Go take some people out for coffee and say, hey, what are the things you did not anticipate that you find yourself spending money on? Oh, flood insurance? Never thought of it. So these are the ways you can start using savings and also investments strategically.
The problem is not credit cards. The problem and the solution is you. The credit cards, if it wasn't the credit cards, it would have been something else. The real opportunity here is to look at why you opened them up. Go back and get really specific. What happened on that 6th credit card? Somebody came to you when you were shopping at Banana Republic and said 10% off. Oh, 10%, that's such a great deal. You saved $4 opening that credit card. Why are you bothering? Most people are asking themselves $3 questions. They really should be asking themselves $30,000 questions. That's the real problem, I almost guarantee. This guy's going around trying to save $4 or, oh, I got a 10,000 mile bonus for opening up this airline card. Stop thinking at the $3 level. Close those accounts. It'll hurt your credit for a little while, but they will recover. Focus on 1 or 2 great credit cards, cash back, travel. Keep it simple and focus on changing your psychology away from $3 questions to focusing on $30,000 questions like investing.
You said something at the beginning of this interview about, you were talking about Reddit, and you said there are certain people that want to victimize themselves. Yeah. And that immediately rings true to me.
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean? In what way do people victimize themselves? And then how do you surround yourself with a group of people that don't?
Well, let's just take somebody watching this video right now. Oh, Ramit, must be nice to talk about getting a $10,000 raise. I can't even make enough money to save $100. And then the next person is going, oh, save $100 a month? I can't even save 50 cents. And it's this regression, not only to the mean, but this downward spiral of competing to see how bad you've got it. And what I've seen now is that there are larger echo chambers, whether it be Twitter, YouTube comments, not yours, but most, Reddit for sure. And this idea that you simply cannot get ahead, so let's just complain. And I have no tolerance for it. I have no tolerance. We all start at different places in life, right? I was born and bred to be a spelling bee champ. I knew I was gonna be a champ ever since I was born, and I was, great. But I did not know, my dad didn't sit around teaching me how to deadlift. Indian dads are not teaching their kids how to deadlift. I had to learn that on my own. So we all start from a different place in life. Some people they have 2 parents, and they're born in America. You hit the lottery already. Some people did not. Some people went to a college. Some people did not. Look, we all start from different places in different parts of our life, but what we can focus on today is what can I do to change that and to control what I can control. And if you're complaining about money and you have not, say, automated saving $20 a month, then why are we even talking?